customer. That was something that I just did over here. I said, you know, they were like, I need my equipment, get my equipment set up. You know, that might have nothing to do with you, but if you put them in and you get in there, they're just frantic because, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to work. You're right, you kind of transport yourself into the customer. Have you ever had to do that? Do you have an example that you can think of offhand?
Just last night, there was a group that was using a bunch of different audio equipment, and I could tell that like they had never used the theater before, so I had to ask them, like, well, what exactly are you doing? Because I knew they were going to have problems in the middle of the show, otherwise, if I didn't like clarify all the things they needed done, so I could teach them all of it before the show.
That is great. So that's even teaching the customer how to use it as well, and that's a value service. So, good work. Yes, Mike?
Solve it to the best of your ability until more help is, or better help is available.
I sound like I should be doing CPR training. You know, do what you can until other help gets here. It's the same thing. It's brilliant. You know, do what you can. What are some of those things that you can do in order until that other person gets there?
Just like, especially for rooms where we have to like set up, like maybe in the ballroom where we don't have, you know, like someone's having an event that they don't know what the setup is, or we don't have it, and they just didn't give it to us. We can set up like one of the, you know, we can put what we might think would go in there, and if they want to change it, they can, but at least there's something in there that they have to go with. Like, so like a base setup of some kind.
Got it. What are some things that, in the bigger picture, that can be done so that you're not stuck with a setup form that's blank?
Like if you know that there's going to be a large setup, but like you don't know exactly how many rounds or exactly how many chairs, you just know that there's going to be chairs, you know there's going to be rounds, and you know there's going to be a certain number of staging, you just don't know where to go. You can put the pieces like in the ballroom, but you don't have to actually set them up. Like you can have like chairs there, like on the rack still, but not like set up in a certain way. But even that just helps out before, especially if you're in a hurry.
And if you don't have things back to back as well. Yeah, if you don't have events back to back, you can put it there.
I was going to say, like, even whether we have a diagram or not, we confirm through Mary, our secretary, the one who gets the information. We clarify if we have any questions with her, because that person was the, you know, intermediary between us who are doing the work and the people giving the information.
And how often, when you get on the job, do you know what you're going to do the day before? Or when you get there, that's when you're given your assignments?
Sometimes we know the day before, but
if it's a big event or something.
Yeah, but there's times where we don't know. We got it right there. We have to call her. You know.
That is brilliant, because that is true. There are some things when requests are put through that they can be caught before it's confirmed. So that intermediary, you know, having Mary confirm a completed setup. That is a huge one. I know. It's a huge one. It's a huge one. But we need to start here, because this is going to decrease the amount of detail that you're going to be like trying to get done, and the guesswork and the stress, because all that does is elevate your stress. Yes?
We're trained to like always look ahead and see what's coming up next, and after 4, no one's in the office to help people that work night staff. I usually work night staff, so if there's something that needs to be done for the next morning and no one's there to ask, if you're working early in the morning, you could ask, or you could call that group, because usually it's office numbers and no one's there after 4 anyway. So always looking ahead for the people that work after you.
That is huge. Look ahead. And right there is a perfect example of being a team player. Like that is quality work right there. Because I mean, you're not always able to do that, but if you can look ahead at the next morning or whenever it is, and help where you can, and help where you can, troubleshoot well you can. So having said this, what do you do when you notice that you lost sight of the detail? How many of you are human, first of all? Good. Okay, we're all good. Yeah, we're all human. How many of you have ever made a mistake in your life? Yeah, I'll put 2 up, because I actually made 2 in my life. No, I'm kidding. Much more than that. But what happens when you lose sight of that detail? What are your options?
If there's something that I forgot about doing during my shift, I'll tell the next person, like, I'll write a note that needs to be done.
Okay, so you would write a note. Okay. So tell the next person. this happen? I know this never happens, right? What if you forgot to do a setup? And the setup, you left at 4 and the group was coming in at 4:15 and it totally was off your plate. Next person comes in. And then you realize it. What do you do?
I guess, like, first of all, you tell them it was your fault, and then if you have time, you can help them also, because that was your responsibility. So I feel like you should take that next step to at least help that person out. So.
And hold yourself accountable. That's exactly right. Gotta love how texting is going into my training. But anyhow, but I know you get it. You know, that is huge. Just saying, man, I'm sorry. How many of you like to hear somebody say that when someone makes a mistake that now you need to try to fix? Just having somebody say, I'm sorry. Hello, let's break it. Break it down, and then let's fix it. That was awesome. Awesome solution right there. Admit you were responsible for it. Hold yourself accountable, and let's get it done. And if you have a class, you know what? Just say, I'm sorry. It's okay. Now, if you're continuing to make that mistake, that's another story. And then that's a whole nother level that we can get into. What are some other things that when you know that you've lost sight? Anything else, or did we pretty much have the solutions as to how we're going to handle it? Yeah? You feel comfortable with saying, I'm sorry? Get comfortable with it. I tell you, your humility is all a part of leadership. Absolutely is. So what happens when others notice what you should have done? And, oh, I had no awareness of it. Yes?
Sometimes I'll ask a person, did they request to not have this room set, or is there a reason it was set differently, rather than jump to the conclusion that they didn't do it?
Oh, you are good! Yeah, that whole conclusion jumping. No, believe me, there's a small percentage that actually can think about it that quickly. Yeah, don't assume, ask the questions. Questions are power. Because if I came up to you and said, why didn't you set up that room last night? Versus exactly your approach. You know, is there a reason why that room wasn't set up last night? And then all of a sudden, if I chose B versus A, how would you feel? What would be the different feeling? If I came up to you and said, hey, what are the different feelings you would feel?
Because first you feel defensive if someone asks you that in that direct manner, whereas the other way, you feel less threatened and you could be more honest. As some people might like to exaggerate whether they did something or not.
Yeah, it's opening it up. It's hard. It's hard to admit mistakes. That's exactly right. But that's it. If you're direct like that, you're gonna get like, man, it was so and so. All of a sudden the blinking starts coming in and all this other defense mechanisms, and your team starts to fall apart. So that's exactly right. Find those questions. It takes sometimes a little bit more time to find it, but walk away until you can kind of muster up that question. Okay, we're taking it home, folks. You have on your table 3x5 cards. I want you to write down a maximum of 3 things. I said maximum, just if you have more, that's fine, but write down 3 things. As a result of what we're trying to accomplish here is to get the devil out of the details and actually pay attention to the details and work together as a team. So we're making the connection, how to make the connection and all that good stuff. Write down the 3 things that you're going to commit to. It might be something you're already doing. Keep on committing to it. It might be something you want to start doing, but it might be something you want to stop doing too. Like, for example, that laziness. You might want to say, you know what, I'm committing to being lazy 5% of the job. Well, if you are lazy 90% of the job, I'd say that's quite a goal. Set your goals, set them attainable, and write them down. I want you to take with those cards, and I want you to pull them out, especially when you're having those tough days. Take them with you, because these skills that you're going to write down and work on are going to be not just here. They're going to work, and you're going to use them across the board. In work, in home, in life, you name it. So write down those 3 and share them if you like, but hey, I know some of you have to go to class. So thank you for having me be with all of you today, and good luck the rest of the semester.